Patricia Mae Andrzejewski, born January 10, 1953, known professionally by her stage name Pat Benatar, is an American coloratura mezzo-soprano singer, actress, songwriter, and four-time Grammy Award winner. Benatar had 2 RIAA-certified multi-platinum albums, 5 RIAA-certified platinum albums, 3 RIAA-certified gold albums, 17 Billboard charting hits, 15 of them being top 40 singles, including the top 10 hits, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, Love Is a Battlefield, We Belong, and Invincible. Other popular singles include Heartbreaker, Treat Me Right, Fire and Ice, Promises in the Dark, Shadows of the Night, and All Fired Up. Benatar's recordings were heavily played in the early days of MTV. She was the second artist to be played there, performing You Better Run. She is best known for the role of herself in Yakety Yak, Take It Back, and Trash Talk. Life and career, 1953–78. Early life and career beginnings. Patricia Mae Andrzejewski was born in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, New York City. Her mother, Mildred Yakety Yak, was a beautician, and her father, Andrew Andrzejewski, was a sheet metal worker. Her father was of Polish descent and her mother was of German, English, and Irish ancestry. Her family moved to North Hamilton Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York, a village in the Long Island town of Babylon. She became interested in theater and began voice lessons, singing her first solo at the age of 8, at Daniel Street Elementary School. A song called It Must Be Spring, at Lindenhurst Senior High School. 1967–71. She participated in musical theater, playing Queen Guinevere in the school production of Camelot, marching in the homecoming parade, singing at the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony, and performing a solo of the Christmas song on a holiday recording of the Lindenhurst High School choir her senior year. Benatar trained as a coloratura with plans to attend the Juilliard School, but decided instead to pursue health education at the State University of New York at Stony Brook. At 19, after 1 year at Stony Brook, she dropped out to marry her first husband, high school sweetheart Dennis Benatar, an Army draftee who trained at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and then served with the Army Security Agency at Fort Devens, Massachusetts, before being stationed at Fort Lee, Virginia, where Dennis, Specialist E4, was stationed for 3 years. Pat worked as a bank teller near Richmond, Virginia. In 1971, Benatar quit her job to pursue a singing career after being inspired by a Liza Minnelli concert she saw in Richmond. She got a job as a singing waitress at a flapper-esque nightclub named the Roaring Twenties and got a gig singing in the lounge band Coxswain's Army, a regular at Sam Miller's Basement Club. The band was the subject of a never-aired PBS special. Its bassist Roger Capps was later the original bass player for the Pat Benatar Band. The period also yielded Benatar's first and only single until her eventual 1979 debut single, taken from the album In the Heat of the Night on Chrysalis Records. Day Gig, 1974. Trace Records. Written and produced by Coxswain's Army band leader Phil Coxon and locally released in Richmond. In 1975, Benatar performed at an amateur night at the comedy club Catch a Rising Star in New York. Her rendition of Judy Garland's "Rockabye Your Baby" with a Dixie melody earned her a call back by club owner Rick Newman, who became her manager. The couple moved to New York following Dennis' discharge from the Army, and Benatar became a regular member at Catch a Rising Star for the next 3 years. In 1975 she landed the part of Zephyr in Harry Chapin's futuristic rock musical, The Zinger. which ran for a month in 1976 at the Performing Arts Foundation's PAF Playhouse in Huntington Station, Long Island. Halloween 1977 proved a pivotal night in Benatar's early spandexed stage persona. She entered a Halloween contest at the Café Figaro in Greenwich Village dressed as a character from the film Catwoman of the Moon. Later that evening, she went on stage at Catch a Rising Star still in costume. Between appearances at Catch a Rising Star, she recorded commercial jingles for Pepsi Cola and a number of regional brands. She headlined New York City's Tramps nightclub for 4 days in the spring of 1978, where her performance was heard by representatives from several record companies. She was signed to Chrysalis Records by co-founder Terry Ellis the following week. Benatar and Dennis divorced shortly after. 1979–81. In the Heat of the Night and Crimes of Passion. Benatar's debut album In the Heat of the Night was released in August 1979, and reached number 12 in the US in early 1980. Mike Chapman produced 3 tracks on the album, while engineer Peter Coleman oversaw the rest. In addition, Chapman and his songwriting partner, Nicky Chin, wrote 3 songs that appear on the LP. In the Heat of the Night, and If You Think You Know How to Love Me, which were previously recorded by Smokey, and a rearranged version of a song they wrote for Sweet No You Don't. The album also featured 2 songs written by Roger Capps and Benatar, and I Need a Lover, written by John Mellencamp, then billed as John Cougar, and Don't Let It Show, written by Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson. The album was certified platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America in December 1980. In Canada it was certified 4x platinum, where it peaked at number 3 on the RPM Albums chart. If You Think You Know How to Love Me was the first single to be released on September 14, 1979. However, it was unsuccessful. Benatar's second single, Heartbreaker, was released on October 26, 1979 and became a hit, climbing to number 23 in the US. A third single, We Live for Love, which was written by her future husband Neil Giraldo, was released in February 1980, and reached US number 27. In August 1980, Benatar released her LP, Crimes of Passion, featuring her signature song, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, along with the controversial song, Hell Is for Children, which was inspired by reading a series of articles in the New York Times about child abuse in America. Hit Me With Your Best Shot, US number 9, was her first single to break the US top 10 and sold more than 1 million copies. Gold status. In the United States, the album peaked for 5 consecutive weeks at number 2 in the US in January 1981, behind John Lennon's and Yoko Ono's Double Fantasy, and eventually sold over 5 million copies. And a month later, Benatar won her first Grammy Award for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance of 1980 for the album. Other singles released from Crimes of Passion were Treat Me Right, US number 18, and The Rascals cover, You Better Run, US number 42, which was the second music video ever played on MTV, after the Buggles video killed the radio star. The album also featured a changed-tempo cover of Kate Bush's Wuthering Heights, nominally produced by Keith Olsen. Crimes of Passion remained on the US album charts for 93 weeks and in the top 10 for more than 6 months, eventually becoming her first platinum certification by the RIAA. In October 1980, Benatar, along with future husband Neil Giraldo, appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. The album was certified 5x platinum in Canada, her best-selling album in that country, where it peaked at number 2 on the album charts. 1982–83. Precious Time. Get Nervous. and Live from Earth. In July 1981, her third LP, Precious Time, was released. A month later, the album hit #1 on the Billboard US Top 200 LP chart. It was also her first to chart in the UK, reaching number 30. The album's lead single, Fire and Ice, co-written by band member Scott Sheets, was another big hit, US number 17, US number 30, and won Benatar her second Grammy Award, this time for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance of 1981 and her third consecutive RIAA-certified platinum album. In Canada it was certified double platinum and peaked at number 2 on the album's chart. Promises in the Dark, US number 38, was also released. In August 1981, Benatar's video for You Better Runs was the second clip aired by MTV, after the Buggles song video killed the radio star. The Benatar video was specifically chosen by MTV to echo the message to the radio industry contained in Video Killed the Radio Star, that things were going to change. A hit single, Shadows of the Night, US number 13, US number 19, heralded a new LP, Get Nervous, released in late 1982. The album was another smash, reaching US number 4. Her fourth consecutive RIAA and CRIA Platinum certification, and the single garnered Benatar her third Grammy, again for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance of 1982. The follow-up singles, Little Too Late and Looking for a Stranger, were also successful, hitting US number 20 and number 39 respectively. The WWII-themed music video for Shadows of the Night featured then unknown actors Judge Reinhold and Bill Paxton as an American fighter co-pilot and a German radio operator, respectively. The album was certified platinum in Canada, where it peaked at 16 on the album charts. By 1983, Benatar had established a reputation for singing about tough subject matters, best exemplified by one of the biggest hits of her career, Love is a Battlefield, penned by noted hit songwriter Holly Knight with Mike Chapman, released in December 1983. By then, her sound had mellowed from hard rock to more atmospheric pop, and the story-based video clip for Love is a Battlefield was aimed squarely at MTV, even featuring Benatar in a Michael Jackson-inspired group dance number. This new pop-rock direction was a huge commercial success, with the single peaking at number 5 in the United States, and number 1 in Australia for 7 consecutive weeks. The song gained interest in the UK, where it peaked at number 49. The song also netted Benatar her fourth consecutive Grammy Award for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance of 1983. A live album, Live from Earth, which was recorded during Benatar's sold-out Get Nervous World Tour of America and Europe in 1982 and 1983, contained 2 studio tracks, Love is a Battlefield and Lipstick Lies. The album peaked at US number 13 and became her 5th consecutive RIAA and CRIA Platinum winner. The album peaked at 25 on the Canadian Albums Chart, 1984–86. Tropico. 7 The Hard Way. In August 1984, Benatar released her 5th studio album, Tropico, US number 14, US number 9, UK number 31. The single, We Belong, released in October 1984, a month prior to the album release, became another top 10 hit in the US, peaking at number 5 and number 7 in Australia. It was also Benatar's first ever UK top 40 hit, where it peaked at number 22. A second single release, Ooh Song, reached US number 36. It is also said by Benatar and Geraldo that this album is the first where they moved away from Benatar's famed hard rock sound and start experimenting with new sometimes gentler, styles and sounds. Despite not quite making the US top 10, it immediately earned her a sixth consecutive RIAA and CIA Platinum certified album. In Canada, the album peaked at 21 on the album charts. After the chart success of We Belong in the UK, Love is a Battlefield was re-released in early 1985 and became her highest chart hit there, reaching number 17. We Belong was also nominated for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance in 1986, Benatar's first nomination in that category. In 1985, she released her sixth studio album, Seven the Hard Way. Benatar hit the US top 10 with the Grammy-nominated single, Invincible, the theme from the movie The Legend of Billie Jean. Number 10, which was written by Holly Knight, Love is a Battlefield, and Simon Climie in 1985, 3 full months before the album was released. Her other Grammy-nominated single, Sex as a Weapon, climbed as high as number 28 in January 1986, and La Belle Age, number 54, in February. The album Seven the Hard Way peaked at number 26, earning an RIAA Gold certification. Import CD. In Canada, it was her 7th consecutive Platinum certified album and it peaked at 36 on the album's sales chart. In Benatar's autobiography, Between a Heart and a Rock Place, she said, "Out of all the albums, Seven the Hard Way cost the most to make and sold the least." The album sold approximately 600,000 US copies. 1987-88. Best Shots and Wide Awake in Dreamland. In July 1988, Benatar released her 7th studio album, Wide Awake in Dreamland, US number 28, UK number 11. The Grammy-nominated and lead single, All Fired Up, written by Karen Tolhurst, ex The Dingoes, reached number 19 in both the US and the UK, and was a number 2 smash in Australia, becoming one of the biggest hits of 1988 in that country. Other singles released from the LP are Don't Walk Away, UK number 42, the Grammy-nominated Let's Stay Together, and One Love, UK number 59. The album also earned an RIAA Gold certification and was her 8th consecutive Platinum certified album in Canada, where it peaked at 11 on the album's chart. Best Shots, US number 67, was first released in the UK in 1987, where it became Benatar's biggest-selling album in the UK. It reached number 6 and achieved gold sales status. The album reached number 20 in Australia. In the US, it was released in November 1989. The US version consisted of 15 tracks on a single CD, including a live version of Hell is for Children, with Suffer the Little Children intro, Painted Desert, from Tropico, and a remixed version of Outlaw Blues, also from Tropico. It was another certified RIAA Gold, later Platinum, album. Best Shots was the only official greatest hits compilation until 1994 when All Fired Up, the very best of Pat Benatar, was released. 2 CD. The box set Synchronistic Wanderings, 3 CD, was released in 1999. 1989 present. True Love, Gravity's Rainbow, and Go. True Love was a jump blues record, released in late April 1991, and featured the blues band Roomful of Blues, backing up Pat Benatar, Neil Giraldo and Myron Grombacher. The album sold over 339,000 copies without significant radio airplay and limited exposure on VH1. Payan, The Cost to Be the Boss, So Long, and the title cut were released as singles. The album reached number 40 in the UK and number 37 in the US. It was certified gold in Canada for sales of 50,000 units. Her first to not achieve platinum status, and her last certified album for the country where it peaked at 22 on the album's sales chart. Gravity's Rainbow, US number 85, was released in 1993 and was a return to the AOR genre. Everybody Lay Down was picked up by Album Rock Radio and went all the way to number 3. The single was never released to top 40 contemporary hit radio, and a music video was never produced. Somebody's Baby was instead released as the single to top 40 radio and a music video produced. In Canada, the album peaked at 44 on the album's sale charts. A third track was scheduled and a video shot for Every Time I Fall Back, but the single was never released and the music video was lost when Chrysalis was sold to EMI Records. Benatar had become pregnant again, and this may have had an effect on her label's support of the album. The tour for this album was only 7 dates, cut short because of the pregnancy. This was Benatar's last album recorded for Chrysalis Records, with very little promotion from Chrysalis. Gravity's Rainbow failed to have the same commercial success as Benatar's previous works. According to SoundScan, the album sold approximately 160,000 copies in the United States. It is currently available in a 2-for-1 release with True Love. Import. Inamorata, US number 171, was released in 1997 on the CMC International record label. A single video was produced for Strawberry Wine. Life is Sweet. Quote, according to SoundScan, the album sold close to 65,000 copies. Benatar has released only one album of new material since 1997's Inamorata, which is 2003's Go, US number 187. The album included the 9/11 charity single, Christmas in America, as a bonus track. A video was produced for the single, Habital, but was never released until it was leaked on YouTube in 2012. The only video from this album is for the bonus track. They reunited with Holly Knight, with Neil and Holly co-writing the tune, Girl. The hard rock title track, Go, became a popular performance song for Benatar's future concerts. According to SoundScan, the album has now sold nearly 34,000 copies. In November 2015, Benatar recorded and released a holiday song called One December Night. In January 2017, Benatar recorded the song, Shine, to support the Women's March on January 21, 2017. This is her first original non-holiday recording in over 10 years. Personal life. Pat Benatar married her high school sweetheart Dennis Benatar at the age of 19 in 1972, but divorced in 1979. She has been married to her second husband, guitarist Neil Giraldo, since 1982. They have 2 daughters and live in Los Angeles, California. Tours. 1979 1980. Toured in support of In the Heat of the Night and Crimes of Passion. 1981. Precious Time Tour. 1982 1983. Get Nervous Tour, resulting in the Live from Earth album, an HBO special released on VHS and, eventually, DVD. 1985 1986. 7 The Hard Way Tour. 1988. Wide Awake in Dreamland Tour. 1991. True Love Tour with Hall & Oates. 1993. Gravity's Rainbow Tour with 7 dates only, cut short because of second pregnancy. 1995. Can't Stop Rockin' Tour with Fleetwood Mac and Rio Speedwagon. 1996. Hits Tour, which previewed some Inamorata material. 1997. Toured with the Steve Miller Band, adding full-length solo shows in bars and clubs on Miller's Nights Off. Appeared at Lilith Fair for 2 performances. 1998. Inamorata Tour. 1999. Synchronistic Wanderings 20th Anniversary Tour. 2000. PB 2000 Tour. 2001-2002. Summer Vacation Tour in support of the CD and DVD release. Summer Vacation Tour. 2003. I Won't Go Tour. 2004. Let's Go Tour. 2005. Almost 2 Tour. 2006. Polyamnesia Off the Rock Tour. 2007. Summarize Tour. 2008. Fired Up Tour. 2009. Call Me Invincible Tour with Blondie and also featured the Donnas on some full-length solo shows. 2010. Love on the Run Tour with Rio Speedwagon, which included her former drummer Myron Grombacher. Subsequently, in October 2010, she toured Australia and played various dates with the 1980s girl pop group The Bangles. 2011. The Elements of Five Tour. 2012. Toured with Loverboy and Journey. 2013. New Zealand Tour with Bachman and Turner and America. North American Tour with Cheap Trick, Eric Burdon and selected solo dates. 2014. Dressed to Kill Tour with Cher. 2014. 35th Anniversary Tour with solo dates and co-headlining dates with Rick Springfield, Cheap Trick, and John Waite. Berlin also opened for Benatar on a few dates. 2015. 35th Anniversary Tour continued from previously cancelled dates with Cher, in support of the 35th Anniversary CD/DVD release. This tour too was cancelled because of emergency eye surgery for Neil Giraldo in late summer 2015. An acoustic tour with just Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo was begun in October 2016. We Live for Love Tour with Melissa Etheridge and solo dates. In protest of the anti-LGBT laws passed in Mississippi and North Carolina, Benatar chose to still perform in those states. The proceeds from her ticket sales, however, were donated to organizations to help fund the reversal of those laws. Memoir. In June 2010, Benatar's memoir, Between a Heart and a Rock Place, was released. The book was published by HarperCollins and was acquired by Lisa Sharkey. Benatar's memoir touches on her battles with her record company Chrysalis, the difficulties her career caused in her personal life, and feminism. In the memoir, she is quoted as saying, "For every day since I was old enough to think, I've considered myself a feminist. It's empowering to watch and to know that, perhaps in some way, I made the hard path women have to walk just a little bit easier." The book went on to become a New York Times bestseller. Initially reluctant to undertake the project, she found the actual writing process so enjoyable that it inspired her with plans to write a novel. In summer 2011, Benatar announced she was working on a Christmas album and a novel about the Second Coming of Christ. Band. Although billed as a solo artist, Benatar recorded and toured with a consistent set of band members over most of her career, who contributed greatly to the writing and producing of songs and are recognizable characters on album photos and in many of her music videos. Neil "Spider" Giraldo, incorrectly spelled as Giraldo in early liner notes credits, is the lead guitarist of the band and has performed on all of Benatar's albums. Born in Cleveland on December 29, 1955, Giraldo began playing the guitar at the age of 6 and learned to play the piano at age 12. Giraldo performed in Rick Derringer's touring band before working with Benatar, appearing in a possible bootleg entitled Derringer Live at the Paradise Theatre, Boston, Massachusetts, July 7, 1978. UPC 672,627,400,428. Giraldo's appearance on the video for Benatar's "You Better Runs" distinguished him and Scott Sheets as the first guitarists on MTV. The video, the second ever aired on MTV, followed the Buggles video Kill the Radio Star. In addition to playing lead guitar, Geraldo is credited with composing and producing much of Benatar's work. Geraldo's first outside production credit was on John Waite's debut album Ignition. He has also given a helping musical hand to artists such as the Del Lords, Rick Springfield, arranging guitar on Jesse's Girl, the Cruzados and Kenny Loggins. In addition, Geraldo was the musical composer for the 2005 movie Smile starring Beau Bridges, Linda Hamilton, Sean Astin and directed by Jeffrey Kramer. The soundtrack features an original song by Geraldo and Scott Kempner of the Del Lords, appearing as the Paradise Brothers, titled Beautiful Something. Proceeds from the movie go to Operation Smile. The Paradise Brothers also contributed a cover of Light of Day for a Bruce Springsteen tribute album. Myron Grombacher, who played with Neil and Rick Derringer's touring band, is drummer on 9 of Benatar's original albums and has numerous writing credits. Myron is easily recognizable in the music videos, particularly as the mad dentist in Anxiety, Get Nervous. Charlie Giordano performed keyboard duties on 5 albums, and is identifiable by his glasses and distinctive array of berets, blazers and 80s-style ties. In 2007, he replaced the late Danny Federici in the E Street Band. Mick Mahan is the band's bassist and has performed with Benatar since 1995. The original bassist, Roger Capps, was replaced by Donnie Nosov on Tropico, and then later by Frank Links. Chris Rall is the band's current drummer. Scott Street, Claire Sheets. Scott Sheets, who was originally the lead guitarist of the infamous 70s NYC band, The Brats, was an original member of the Pat Benatar Band. Sheets is credited as guitarist on the first 3 albums and first 3 world tours. He wrote the song Prisoner of Love for the Crimes of Passion album and co-wrote the hit Fire and Ice for the Precious Time album. Sheets left the Benatar Band and started the band Perfect Stranger with Werner Fritzing, Cactus, Rick Zivik, 3D, and Glenn Alexander Hamilton, original Benatar drummer. Sheets went on to produce and/or play guitar on albums by Lenny White, Tower of Power, Planet P, Michael Wynn, Minako and the Wildcats. Sheets also became a prolific songwriter, penning songs for Vanilla Fudge, King Cobra, Minako and the Wildcats' #1 hit in Japan. And in 2010 his song, Fly Me Away, was a top 10 contender for the American Idol Songwriters Contest. In 1997, Sheets released his solo album, Saint Clair, that includes a remake of the hit, Fire and Ice. Sheets currently lives in Nashville. Glenn Alexander Hamilton played drums on the first album. Other achievements: stage and screen soundtracks. In 1980, Benatar played a small role in the film Union City, which featured Debbie Harry of Blondie as one of the main characters. You Better Runs was featured on the soundtrack to Roadie, a 1980 film starring Meat Loaf. In 1981, Hell is for Children appeared on the soundtrack of the Ralph Bakshi animated film American Pop. In 1982, Treat Me Right was included in the soundtrack for An Officer and a Gentleman starring Richard Gere. The soundtrack to Giorgio Moroder's 1984 restoration of Fritz Lang's 1927 classic Metropolis features Benatar performing 2 versions of the movie's love song, Here's My Heart. In 1985, Invincible was featured as the theme song for the film The Legend of Billie Jean, which was also Christian Slater's first mainstream film appearance. Benatar played the character Zephyr in Harry Chapin's futuristic rock musical The Zinger. Benatar performed the solo "Shooting Star" in honor of Chapin for the Harry Chapin tribute. Carnegie Hall. December 7, 1987. Run Between the Raindrops was featured on the soundtrack for The Stepfather in 1987. Sometimes the Good Guys Finish First was on the soundtrack for The Secret of My Success in 1987. Co-written with Holly Knight. Benatar appears on Yakety Yak, Take It Back, a public service announcement produced by Warner Brothers Animation Studios for the Take It Back Foundation in 1991. It was later shown occasionally on Sesame Street during the 1990s, though it does not feature any Sesame Street characters. Love is a Battlefield was featured twice on South Park. In 2003, Love is a Battlefield was featured in the comedy film 13 Going on 30. In 2003, Konami released a singing video game called Karaoke Revolution that featured the cover version of Benatar's song, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, as a part of the song list lineups. Benatar has made numerous television appearances, mostly as herself. She appeared with her husband in the Charmed episode, Lucky Charmed, on which Heartbreaker was used, and in an episode of Dharma and Greg as herself singing We've Only Just Begun at an impromptu wedding in an airport. In 2001, she also appeared as fictional rock star Anna Raines in the CBS television drama Family Law with Dixie Carter and Christopher McDonald. In 2006, We Belong and Love is a Battlefield were featured in the video game Grand Theft Auto: Vice City Stories. In 2006, Benatar and her music were featured on CMT Crossroads, an episode that paired her with country singer Martina McBride. In 2007-2008, Benatar's single, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, was put into the song list for Guitar Hero 3 in the first tier of songs, also in Guitar Hero on Tour, and is available as a downloadable song in the video game Rock Band. Her song, Heartbreaker, is a playable song in the 2008 video game follow-up Guitar Hero World Tour, as well as also being downloadable content on Rock Band. In 2011, Fire and Ice, Love is a Battlefield, Shadows of the Night, We Belong, Invincible, and Promises in the Dark were added as downloadable content for the music game Rock Band 3. In 2010, the song, We Belong, appeared in the Sundance Film Festival hit film, Blue Valentine, which starred Michelle Williams in her Oscar-nominated role and Ryan Gosling. On Saturday, 19 July 2014 at the Comerica Theater in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, Rick Springfield reunited with Jesse's Girl, arranger, guitar player Neil Giraldo while touring with Pat Benatar and her husband Neil. During Rick's first half of the show set, he invited Neil Giraldo to play guitars together on Jesse's Girl, while both Rick and Neil jammed on the song. Rick informed the crowd that this was the first time the two had played this together since recording the song close to 34 years ago. The song, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, performed by Pat Benatar, was included in the TV series Supergirl first season. Episode 2, Stronger Together, aired on the 2nd of November 2015. Benatar and Giraldo performed in the Tiny Desk Concerts series of NPR Music on the 14th of November 2014. At the Tiny Desk, Benatar and Giraldo ran through 3 of their classic songs, We Live for Love, We Belong, and Promises in the Dark. Heartbreaker appeared in the film and on the soundtrack for the 2016 Richard Linklater film, Everybody Wants Some. Treat Me Right was also featured in the film, but not on the soundtrack. Advertising. In 2006, the song, We Belong, was part of a $20 million ad campaign for Sheraton Hotels, although the version used in the commercial was not Benatar's. Her version of the song is featured in the 2006 comedy film Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, starring Will Ferrell and directed by Adam McKay. Though she had earlier expressed dismay for rock stars endorsing products, including one-time cohort Debbie Harry, who had developed her modeling career simultaneously to her rock career, Benatar herself became a commercial spokeswoman for the Energizer Company, and has been featured in an ad for Candy's vintage shoes for Kohl's department store. In 2007, her song, Passion, could be downloaded free from the official Jello website. Filmography. Yakety Yak, Take It Back, 1991. Herself. Trash Talk, 1992. Herself. Discography. In the Heat of the Night, 1979. Crimes of Passion, 1980. Precious Time, 1981. Get Nervous, 1982. Live from Earth, 1983. Tropico, 1984. Seven the Hard Way, 1985. Wide Awake in Dreamland, 1988. True Love, 1991. Yakety Yak, Take It Back, 1991. Trash Talk, 1992. Gravity's Rainbow, 1993. Inamorata, 1997. Go, 2003. Further reading. For singer, Laura rock pop stars Pat Benatar. Creative Education 1983 ISBN 0-89813-1014. McGee, Doug. Pat Benatar. Proteus 1985 ISBN 978-0-86276-251-3. Benatar, Pat and Cox. Patsy Between a Heart and a Rock Place. HarperCollins 2010 ISBN 978-0-06195377-4. Official website. Fan club website. The Italian site. Emmy Artist page. Sanctuary Records Artist page. Chrysalis Music Group USA. Pat Benatar at the Internet Movie Database. Neil Giraldo fan site. Neil Giraldo at the Internet Movie Database. Canadian Recording Industry Association Gold and Platinum certifications for Pat Benatar. KMEL Forever. Listen to KMEL DJ Paul Vincent interview Pat Benatar.